Hey, potential client, how you doing? I am ready to sample the finest caviar, to go on all the coolest yachts, to have bikini babes everywhere. Sure, what's your budget to make that happen? I got $50. Take it or leave it. $50? Like, for real, $50? I fart in your general direction. You smell something? What's up, guys? It's Frankie here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the forgotten piece. Now, for those of you guys who don't know this, our agency for over the last 5 years has closed 100% of our clients through video and sometimes a little bit of text conversation. And we have not done sales calls. We have not hired salespeople, and our typical response is that people message me and say, I'm in. And a lot of times people ask me, like, when you guys do this, like, how do you actually get the right people to come through the machine? And I want to show you, everybody asks me about the close. How do you close in video? But there's what I call the forgotten piece, which is equally important. In the same way that, like, if you meet a girl and you ask her to marry you, well, a lot of times it's not how witty and charming and amazing the proposal is, it's what actually happens before. And so I want to show you guys what actually happens before that sets people up to buy in our videos. And there's actually two sales that you want to make, and almost always everybody is making the wrong one, and this is why they have a really hard time selling their stuff through video. And by the way, for those of you guys who don't know me already, my name is Frankie Finn. Wrote this best-selling book on Amazon, which you can find. I've helped thousands of agency owners around the world to live this more beach, less locked up kind of lifestyle, and also built 3 of my own agencies up to 100 plus clients. So let's get into the forgotten piece of the video close. So this is like what we're talking about is, if you guys follow this, is you will get emails from people 50% of the time who will say, I'm in, and just buy your stuff. And about 50% of the time, you'll get an email from somebody who says, I watched your video, I have a question. And almost always this question is a variation of, will it work for me? Hey, I saw what you did for that other dentist, but I'm in a small town, I'm not in a big city like you showed. Would it still work in a small town? Like, that's an example of would it work for me. And almost always, by the way, the process here is just to be honest with people. You either tell them yes, no, or maybe. Yes, it will still work for you. No, it will not. Maybe, are you open to trying, right? And so how do we get to this point where people are going to buy our video? Well, most people know me as this 5-minute loon close, but there's actually a piece that comes before here, which I call the forgotten piece, which I actually think is equally important. I'm going to show you guys in this video what goes here, because when you do this, this is like using the force.
You have the ring, and I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. Now let's see how well you handle it.
I don't mean to brag or anything, but I got a pretty impressive Schwartz. No, I don't, but I got 3 kids. So. Anyways, so let's talk about what do you actually put in here. Now, for those of you guys who've watched my other videos on the 5-minute close, one of the things you'll know in there is you have to break your process down into 3 to 5 steps. And this is, what goes in a 5-minute loom video, for those of you guys who haven't seen those videos, is we're really just answering the questions they would normally ask on a sales call, and we're just doing it in fast forward, and ideally showing them with pictures, not with words, so they get it a whole bunch faster. And so somewhere in there, they have the question, how does this work? Like, how does this work? How are you going to get me plumbing jobs? How are you going to bring people into my dental practice? How are you going to scale my e-commerce store? And you need to show a 3 to 5 step. Now, a lot of times what people do is they're mysterious and vague about the process. And mysterious and vague works really, really well when you're selling like a $3 Kindle book or a $7.99 course, right? But it does not work very well to sell $70,000 packages, right? So if somebody's going to invest significant money, and for most of you guys, I would say that's probably $1,000 to $10,000 a month, they need to know what the fuck is inside your thing, and they need to know how it works. And so we want to lay this out. And a lot of times people worry, well, won't they steal this? And what I propose to you guys is that ideas equal free and implementation equals money. And so what I mean by that is just show them how you do it. The vast majority of them don't want to do it themselves. Plumbers don't want to be marketers. Dentists don't want to be marketers. E-commerce store owners don't want to be marketers and salespeople. They want you to do this for them. So what goes into this pre-sales piece is actually this exact process. And there's 2 sales that you have to make in every market. And one of those sales is this a good idea in general? And the second one is with me. And if you look at most people's sales process, they spend the vast majority of time here trying to say, I'm the right person to do this for you. But if you could actually measure this, like if this is a bar graph, this is 90% of the sale you want to actually make, is that this is a good idea in general. So for example, let me give you some real tangible examples and hopefully this will make more sense. Let's say you do Facebook ads for dentists, okay? And your process involves like you're going to target people near them and you're going to show some ads to them and you're going to drive them to a landing page and hopefully a percentage of those people book and actually show up at the dental practice. Well, the good idea in general that you're trying to sell is to the dentist that the single best way to get people into your dental practice that have the high-end kind of cosmetic procedures that you want is done with Facebook ads. If you can make that sale, then what you'll find is the vast majority of time, by the time they get to this 5-minute video, they're already bought into the big idea. And so we almost always have a pre-sales piece, and there's all kinds of ways you can do this. So sometimes we'll do this as a webinar or a free training. And sometimes this is like a magazine article. So I'm just gonna write MAG. And sometimes this is a podcast. And sometimes this is a paid ad. And sometimes it's what you're looking at, a video right now, right? But nonetheless, we are always pre-selling the process, and what we're selling is not that you should choose me to do it, but rather that to get, like the argument you want to make in essence is to get what they want. So let's imagine this thing that they want, this desirable thing. The best way to get that is with your process. So for example, again, let's say you do SEO for home services, okay? Well, most home services guys want steady work. They want stuff to get for their guys. If you convince them in a pre-sales piece of content that the best way to get steady work for your guys is to rank in Google, it's almost a given that they're going to do it with you. It's almost a given that they're going to do it with you. So you have to really figure out what is the thing they want and make the argument that the way to get there is using the thing that we do. Give you one more example. Like let's say you design websites, right? You design websites and let's say you're doing it for any sort of local business, right? Well, what do most local businesses want? And I wouldn't suggest being a generalist, but like they want people to actually fucking walk into the place. Well, if what you want to convince them is that the best way to get people to walk into your business is to have a really fucking killer website that's like the best performing salesperson in your company. If you can make this argument and they generally buy into that idea, then the with me is a given. And this is why I say most people spend 90% of the time trying to convince me, let me be your web designer, let me be your SEO person. And you've actually skipped the first sale that this is a good idea for you in general. And so this is what we put into these pre-sale pieces. And by the way, if you can really grasp the idea that ideas equal free, the vast majority of businesses do not want to steal this from you. They want to pay you to implement it. Every day I've shown people how to like close on video, and I get a couple of messages a week from people who do, and yet there's still people who reach out to me and say, can you help me with it? And I'm pre-selling the idea that it is a good idea to close a video because it's a 24/7, 365 day machine. So can you close, by the way, without this pre-sales piece? The answer is yes. We do it every day. But having said that, when you put these two things together, your life is going to be so much more magical, especially because here, you're not openly pitching anything. You're just giving away good ideas about how the thing you want is best achieved with our process. And you don't like overtly state, like, hire us. You just say, hey, dentists, if you guys want to get regular, consistent work for your hygienist, we found the best way to do that is with Google. So I put together a little free training that shows you how to get in front of all the people in Google. And this is the reviews, and this is the Google Business Place. And if you're interested, and at the very end, it's just a small little bit of the presentation. If you're interested in getting my help, we have some additional details here. And people will go and watch the video, and they'll either say, I'm in, or they'll say, got a question for you. And by the way, usually if you do a sales call at this point, it's 5 minutes long. So the question I get in this is, how do you screen for the right people? Like, how do you actually get the right people? A lot of times people think, well, if I just put it out there, the wrong people will buy. And I actually found it's the opposite, because most people, especially like the good clients who have money, would rather be sold with a video and have you just get to the fucking point than have long-winded sales calls. But there are two ways we do this, okay? One is in the video itself, is we literally call out the right person. So I think of Chris, who I helped create these. He does mobile detailing. They got a multi-7-figure-a-year business in the detailing space. Car detailing, so they put like flames on the side of a car and tinted windows and cool rims and stuff like that. And what he found is when we looked at like who are the good clients and bad clients, what we found is by and large the bad clients, the pain in the ass, were almost always mobile detailers. People who would like drive to your house because they hadn't made enough money yet to have a shop, and so every little penny mattered. And the ones who made a good client turned out to be the ones who had a real physical location. So all we do is in that 5-minute video, we say, hey, this is for you if you got a real physical shop. Nothing against you mobile detailers. We have other packages that may be useful to you, but we found this SEO package works best if you got a real physical shop. So one way we screen for it is in here, by like actually just calling them out. Now the second way we do this is in here, and the way we do this is where we put this. Now this is probably a more advanced topic than I have time to go into in this video. I'll probably do some more stuff on this later. But the answer is really, really simple, is buying audiences, okay? That's my chicken scratch, is a little hard to read. So buying audiences. When I first got invited to speak on stage in the legal industry, I would do these speeches, and often when you come off stage, like 5, 10, 15 clients want to work with you. Some of them like try and buy your thing immediately. They come up to you right after the presentation and say, let's work together. Sometimes they'll schedule in your calendar and they'll show up 3-4 days late. I used to do sales calls back in the day. And what you would find is, in the beginning, I thought, like, I'm hot shit. Like, I'm the man. Every time I get on stage, I close 5, 10, 15 clients. And then I started talking to the other speakers. Interesting thing happened, which is I found out they all closed 5, 10, 15 clients. And my aura of awesomeness, and I started to really think about it. And there's an awesome book there's some awesome stuff put out by a guy, I'm blanking on his name, Jim Straw, who is a really well-known investor in the 1950s. He made about $500 million in the 50s and 60s, which would be like he'd be a billionaire by today's standards. And he said most people, when they try and sell their thing, they start with, how do I sell it? And he says it's a much better question to ask, who's buying it? I become obsessed about finding the buyers in the space. You won't make any money without the buyers. So the question I ask myself is, where do my people buy stuff already? And I found by and large there's 7 places. They buy expertise, coaching courses, mastermind. They buy information, like somebody puts out a best-selling book and somebody has a magazine in your space. They join communities, Facebook, LinkedIn, stuff like that, sometimes in real life. There are industry associations. There are tools and software they buy. They also buy from your quote-unquote competitors. And they also go to like live events, conferences, workshops, stuff like that. And so we found the best place to put this pre-sale stuff is in the buying audiences. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a big arrow connecting these two things. And one thing that I wish I knew earlier is that people who have buying audiences are almost all content creators, and the thing they struggle with the most is continuously creating content. I can tell you this as a content creator, after like 30 days, you're like pretty much out of ideas. You're like, okay, that's everything I know. What else can we talk about? And so if you show up and say, hey, I have some valuable content for your people, and I want to show them how to get a result, a thing they want. Almost always these doors will open up, and just by being in the nature of being in the buying audiences, the right people will show up on the other side of your machine. And if you do this right, instead of trying to sell your thing, the do it with me, let me tell you why I should be your SEO provider, you're giving free, valuable, helpful, good ideas. Hey, Mr. Dentist, so if I went to a dentist association and I did SEO, I would say, I want to show you guys that the best way to fill your hygienist chair and have consistent, high-end cosmetic work is to rank for that stuff in Google, and I'm going to give you the playbook for free, how to rank in Google. Now, what happens is then they're pre-sold on the idea here that in order to get what they want, they need to do the Google, they need to do the SEO. And then we simply have a 5-minute video that says, hey, we'll make it better, easier, cheaper, faster, and get results for you quicker than if you wanted to do it yourself. And we demonstrate that, and they simply say, I'm in, or have a question. So I wanted to show you guys this because everybody asks me about the 5-minute close, and it's important, and you can absolutely close just with video. But man, it works so much better if you have a pre-sales piece in a buying audience where we're simply establishing that this is a good idea in general, and that the best way to get the thing that you want, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, is using our methodology. So I hope that makes sense, and it is super valuable and helpful. For those of you guys who are not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe because we've got more good shit coming all the time. And may the force be with you. Hey guys, if you like this video, you may also like my best-selling book here, Beyond the Agency Box. It is all about scaling a digital marketing agency while eliminating meetings and phone calls. We actually sell our stuff phoneless. We don't have any client meetings, and we also hire our team entirely without meeting phone calls, which allows us to, actually kind of live a life. I've laid out the entire blueprint in everything you need to know, getting clients, onboarding, setting expectations, scaling, building a team, you name it. It has been a bestseller on Amazon now for over 5 straight years, but now you can get it even cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. So I can't tell you the exact price because it may change when this video is released, but there should be a link to it below, either in the description of the video or as well as a pinned comment. So if you're interested in that, check out that video and you can get a copy for super cheap.